Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 337, The Law of Forgiveness. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm also lovingly known as RCA, and so happy to have you with us along the journey today. I'm here in the studio with my brilliant producer today.
Oh, brilliant. Nice. You're brilliant. Welcome, everybody, to today's episode. No, you. Today, we're diving into a big one. Today, we are talking about the law of forgiveness. This is, of course, week 5 in our 7-week series on the book, 7 Spiritual Laws of Release, which is absolutely gorgeous. Get it today. Get your copy today on Amazon, or you can get it on Kindle if you are a digital tablet reader. So whether you're just getting started on the spiritual path or you've been on it for a while, I think understanding forgiveness on a deeper level it just makes a huge difference. I know I've experienced it over and over again, as well as you have. So excited to get into all of that. But of course, my mouth is moving faster than my brain. Of course, we want to do some shout outs. Thank you. No, very nice. We're going to shout out today to a Facebook top fan, Barbara Burgess. So hello, Barbara. Thanks for joining us and engaging with us on social media and taking in the stuff that we're putting out there. We sure do appreciate it. And Thanks.
And I wanted to also give a special thank you, Barbara. It means the world to me that you're still following and a part of this ministry. I mean, because that's exactly what it is. You know, it's an online ministry. It's how I can be a charitable corporation, is that even the IRS sees it as a ministry. And so I love, Barbara, that you're still following, that you're still engaging. And anyway, I appreciate that very, very much. And, I'm here for you, holding you in prayer. And if there's anything you need, always reach out. But happy to have you along the journey with us. And we also want to do a shout out to a place. We always love to mention places that are downloading. And we had some new ones recently.
Yes. So this place, Morro Bay, I believe is probably how you say it, Morro Bay, California. Do you think that's right?
Yes. Somebody correct us if we're wrong. It's either Morro or Moreau, but it looks like Morro to me.
Yes.
And a beautiful, beautiful area. And it actually reminded me of Haystack Rock in Oregon, but those beautiful rocks out there in the bay and that surrounding area is just really, really beautiful. Yeah, stunning. That's the right word. Yeah, very stunning. And I know there's a lot of great history there as well. And as we always say, if you're traveling in that area, check out all the beautiful natural areas. I just find that God presents herself through nature in such a beautiful, beautiful way. And those breathtaking overlooks and the water and the rock. I mean, it's like ancient and also very divine to me. So anyway, friends, thank you for those of you in Morro Bay. Blessings on the journey and happy to have you along with us. It touches our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're watching on YouTube, what I'll start doing is, as we're talking about these locations, I'll put up some of these photos so you can see what we're talking about if you're on YouTube. Yeah, because some of these photos are just absolutely gorgeous. Of this place, and that's a place I'd like to go.
I would too. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been there. It was funny when we read about it. It said it's between LA and San Francisco. I'm like, that's only a 12-hour drive. So somewhere in California on the coast.
Yeah. I wonder if it's right in the middle between the two.
Yeah, I wonder. I'll have to double check that again. But yes, friends, nice to have you with us today. And Sean, give us our title one more time. I'm going to take a deep breath because
please do.
This is a deep one. Yeah.
Yes. So, friends, welcome officially to episode 337 of the Experience of the Soul podcast. This is 7 Spiritual Laws of Release, the Law of Forgiveness.
Yes, the law of forgiveness. And those of you who are working with me one-on-one and are in my courses, even at my church, I've been talking about forgiveness so much recently. And you all know, and I want to just reiterate for our listeners here on the podcast, that forgiveness might be the most important spiritual law there is, because of its tremendous healing capacity, like the power that forgiveness has to free, to heal, to move you out of pain and resentment and into freedom and joy and love. It's just a really, really powerful spiritual principle. And it's like all these principles, though, my friends, if you don't practice them, they cannot make a difference in your life. Forgiveness frees, forgiveness heals. It helps you move out anger, as well as I mentioned, resentments and things. So my reason for doing this book in general was I was serving at a community in Orlando that I still deeply love. It was then called Christ Church Unity Orlando. And the book was based in my own teaching, my own spiritual lessons I'd learned over the years from a variety of disciplines. And so I want to assure you that no matter your spiritual path or journey, unless it's of the darker nature, anything that's of the light will be able to connect with the spiritual principles that are in my book. And this one, the law of forgiveness, is truly transformative. Truly transformative. You know, we've talked on several levels over the last few weeks. You know, the first week that was about giving was more of the financial. Then it was about the law of service, you know, giving to others. And then it started getting deeper. You know, the law of minimization was a lot about clearing out your own physical area, your home, your office, your, you know, moving energy. And then last week was the law of letting go, which started to really, really deepen our understanding. It moved us into the emotional realm. And this law, the law of forgiveness, ultimately touches every level, but it's really known through the emotional and the spiritual level, because the need to forgive is known in our soul. It's when we are, well, let me say it this way. We know we need to forgive when there is a negativity that's alive in us about another individual or about ourselves. It's about when we're holding anger, resentments, or holding on to even fears, anxieties. There may be forgiveness work to do. If somebody has done me wrong, you know, it's like we think of this person, they say they've done me wrong, and they may have. Then forgiveness at some point is going to be in order. I say forgiveness may be in order because forgiveness is a process, and I don't think it's one to be rushed. That said, I think that being willing to forgive is a key in moving you forward. Forgiveness will move you along the path of that evolving spiritual journey we talk about so often. Holding on to the past belief, past hurts, past negativity is going to keep you stuck, my friend, very simply. So a question that I'm sure you may be asking is, what is your definition of forgiveness? And I will mention that my first understanding of forgiveness is not where I am now. And that's why I want to give you a new idea about it. So when I was young, we learned the phrase forgive and forget. And if we were in church, I'd say, raise your hand if you know what I mean. I know Sean's raising his hand already. Forgive and forget. And what I learned over time is that forgive and forget can actually set you up to be hurt again. What do I mean by this? Well, if we just forgive and move on and forget anything happened, we may be putting ourselves in a situation to be hurt again because we haven't really honestly dealt with the situation or dealt with the hurt. So forgiveness is not condoning bad behavior, but it's also not pretending something didn't happen. Forgiveness, as I teach it and as I understand it, is about being willing to release the hurt from the past. And that will help you have the trauma, whatever was done, whether you were done wrong, somebody said or did something, even to the point of abuse, the more you hold on to that hurt in that way of they did me wrong, what you're actually doing is attaching yourself to the person that hurt you rather than freeing yourself from that individual, from that situation. So negative emotions are harmful to the mind, the body, and certainly to the soul. We know from the mind-body connection from medicine that when you hold on to a lot of negativity, when you're worrying a lot or anxious a lot, you get something called a stomach ulcer. If you're angry a lot, you walk around angry, you can have issues of the joints. Things just lock up with all that negative energy, and it can lead to further problems in the joints. It can lead to high blood pressure and heart issues. So I'm saying all this so that you realize the emotional nature, those emotional and spiritual beliefs that you hold on to have impact on the mind, on the body, and of the soul. So forgiveness is not only good spiritually, it's not only good mentally and emotionally, forgiveness is good physically. Forgiveness will help you release the negative energy you're holding on to and move you into healing, into health, into peace, into freedom, into wholeness. So forgiveness is no small task. But remember, I want to be clear with this. Forgiveness is not condoning bad behavior. Forgiveness is also not pretending something didn't happen. As a matter of fact, to truly forgive, we want to be fully in reality about what did happen. We want to release our attachment to that hurt, and we want to be in a place where our desire to heal is bigger than our desire to be right or to be angry or to be hurt. And what I mean by that is some of us, and I've talked about this in the past, some of us will use our hurt and our story as a way to get attention. We'll use our hurt as a way to be a victim. And even if we were victimized, which many of us were that are listening, it does not help us, friends, to continue in that frame of mind. As a matter of fact, it will draw to you this negative energy, this like energy that is this victimhood. So if you're a victim, guess what? You have to have a perpetrator. So when you hold on to that victim consciousness, you're constantly drawing situations where even if you're not being victimized, that's what you see because of the consciousness you're holding. So forgiveness helps you rise up and out of that victim consciousness and into a consciousness of wholeness, of peace, of dignity, of self-respect, of love. And I'm just thinking, Sean, how everything I'm talking about today is reminiscent of the many talks I've been doing, or all last month in November, were kind of about all of these topics. So I don't know how possible it would be to, I know those talks are only for people on the network. So I don't know if we could release one of those into the show notes just as an example for people to know.
We can do that.
We talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that might be good. I don't know if you were tracking with that, but the more I was talking, the more I was thinking, boy, we've been really hitting on this on the Monday nights.
Big time. Yeah. And I could definitely put one or two of those.
Yeah, let's put one in there. Maybe that one on self-respect would be good.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. Dignity and self-respect. And yes. Friends, I want you to be aware that simply the reason there's a charge for those messages is to be able to provide the messages on a weekly basis and the various costs associated with doing such a thing. So when I can make those available to the public, I do. And the great thing is more people are joining the paid version, which will help me provide, ongoing spiritual support as I have for so many years through the podcast and the, various ways.
Yeah, and if I could just add to that, these Monday night talks, they're unlike anything else that we do really, in that they give you the opportunity to share, to give feedback in real time, to be a part of this community. Now, you'll notice when I do share the link to that Monday night talk, you will not see the share portion of the event because we keep that private. We keep
private,
that just for the people that are there live at the time. But we're playing around with technology a little bit with these things. We start each one with a beautiful presentation of photos that RCA picks that go along with the topic, and some quotes and some verses and things like that. So it's really a cool thing to be a part of. So I would highly encourage you, if you haven't already, to join the Soulworks community. I didn't mean to jump in here with a little ad,
but I was thinking the same thing, Sean. So I'm glad you mentioned that. That as much as I love the podcast and giving the message out, what's nice about the Monday nights is there's more of a personal connection with me, and I can help you a little bit more individually with your journey. And there's such a sacred trust there that that's really being built over time. And it's people like that listen to the show. It's just people trying to do their spiritual work, and it's casual because, we're all at home. Some people are in their jammies with their, ready for bed.
Even we're a little bit more casual in the,
exactly.
In the same way, like ready for bed. But friends, my.soulworkscommunity.com, my.soulworkscommunity.com, and you'll get all the information you need about joining us.
And you can put that maybe, Sean, on the little thing on the bottom, the way you do that.
Oh, sure.
The little banner.
Oh, I actually have it ready. So look at that.
Wow. You're a genius.
Ready to go.
Friends, it's really interesting. This is taking me a slightly different direction, but it's important. No, it's important because of the realization I had as we were talking. The confidence that's required to take the chances I have taken with my spiritual network, with the podcast. Like somebody asked me recently, how do you, how was the podcast funded? And I started laughing. I said, well, by donation. And they said, well, how do you know donations are going to show up? And I said, well, I don't, but I trust. And as I forgive, forgiveness moves me into an abundance consciousness, because I don't think anyone owes me. I'm giving this as a gift. If the money is there to support the show, which it has for, over 6 years, almost 7 years now, that it will be there, and the money has always been there. And so forgiveness, as much as we talk about it, about mentally, emotionally, and even impacting us physically, spiritually, it also impacts us financially. I mean, Edwene Gaines wrote a book, one of my powerful mentors, the title of her book is How to Become Debt Free, Forgive. So there are so many benefits to forgiveness. And what's so amazing is the universe operates according to energy. And what I love about this is that you don't even necessarily have to say anything. As your consciousness shifts, the universe corresponds, because that's how the universe is set up. So if I think of myself, as what I was saying before, if I think of myself as a victim, the universe says, you're right. If I think of myself as someone who is capable and worthy, that I have dignity and self-respect, that I know God loves me, that I'm worthy to receive, that I'm worthy to be successful, and I realize unforgiveness is keeping me tied to the past in a way that's unhealthy, in a way that's full of resentment and negative energy. I'm going to want to free that. And as I free that, it's like my consciousness goes, zoop, it moves up. It's like the boat rises higher, And so as I rise higher, everything that I draw to me is higher. So if you haven't done this deep level of forgiveness yet, I want to assure you that the benefits far outweigh any pain that you have to go through. And so many people don't want to do it. They'll say, I just don't know if I want to go through all this forgiveness stuff. And I said, well, think of it this way. The longer you wait, the more the negativity impacts you. That if you are just willing to forgive and willing to face it, because you've already faced the worst part, you've already endured whatever it was that happened. And now your work is going to be to free yourself of it. So even though it is about facing what happened, it's like facing those fears, facing those pains, kind of unpacking, what are these old resentments? Who am I still mad at, frustrated with, angry about, And as you start doing the work, you start finding, my gosh, I may need to start with myself. Wouldn't it be great if I could just forgive myself for anything of the past? Wouldn't it be great if I could just forgive myself for ways I haven't measured up to my own expectations or ways that I've unknowingly hurt people? What if I love myself enough to forgive myself and experience God's forgiveness in a new way? Friends, this is amazing stuff. This is amazing stuff. It's like, am I willing to forgive? And you may be at the prayer before forgiveness, as this reading says that we're going to do in a few moments. It's like, am I willing to forgive? Am I willing to forgive myself? Am I willing to believe that God loves me that much, that no matter what has happened in the past, that forgiveness is mine right now in this moment? You know, I'm mindful that in Jesus's ministry, some of his last words were, you know, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they are doing. That even in his last, most painful moments, Jesus offered us the gift of forgiveness. That's how I know its importance. If you want to know what's important on the spiritual journey, look at Jesus's ministry. Look at what he mentioned. Look at what he didn't mention. Compare that to the work you're doing now, the importance you're placing on certain things. See how important it is. See how important it is. But the gift of forgiveness has so many impacts in your life and world. It would be hard to name them all. There's a poem I wanted to have Sean read, and it's funny because we actually did this poem a while back, but Sean, I'd love to have you read it, and then also to have you read the one at the very end of the chapter 2 on page 101. But I'd love for you to read this one first. And if you have the book, for those of our listeners who bought the book on Amazon available in Kindle and paperback, okay, is this
it's beautiful too. If I could just say that, I mean,
yeah,
if you're on YouTube, I mean, you can really see how beautiful it is, and there's beautiful photos and
it's inspiring. It really is.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Well, and if you have a church or a ministry, where you like to do a book study, this would be a great one. If you are part of a book study that like meets at Barnes and Noble or one of those, or I was just talking to a friend who they're all over the country and they meet online. This would be a great 7-week series for you to, think about.
Yep. And it's a great thing for the end of the year. So it makes a great gift, I think, also, to give someone who might be struggling, or right.
Yes, really, I love it.
It is,
It is. Well, I do, every November, December, I think, we were running this about our financial life as well. November, December, there's 2 things I do. One is ask Spirit, okay, who's fed me in the year spiritually? And make sure that I give those people a special financial gift. I've done it with coaches. I've done it with churches, with individuals. The other piece I do is this right here, this release work, this forgiveness work, because I want to end the year free and clear so that when I move into January, I'm ready to go on my dreams, goals, and intentions. Then I'm not bringing the junk from the last year, the pains, the sorrows, the ups and downs, that I've released those completely so that I can move into the new goodness of the new year. And it's a great, great practice. So yeah, it is a great gift, and it would be great for any of us to do before the end of the year. Again, this is, I wrote this for a fall series so we could do just that. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. So Sean, read this. This is, sure. Go ahead.
This is a call to forgive. And I might need you to help me on the pronunciation of, I know it's Desmond and...
Oh, and his daughter, Mfo Tutu.
Mfo.
Yes.
Okay, Tutu.
Yeah.
I want to be willing to forgive, but I dare not ask for the will to forgive in case you give it to me, and I am not yet ready. I am not yet ready for my heart to soften. I am not yet ready to be vulnerable again. Not yet ready to see that there is humanity in my tormentor's eyes, or that the one who hurt me may also have cried. I am at the prayer before the prayer of forgiveness. I am not yet ready for the journey. I am not yet interested in the path. Grant me the will to want to forgive. Grant it to me not yet, but soon. Can I even form the words, forgive me? Dare I even look? Do I dare to see the hurt that I have caused? I can glimpse all the shattered pieces of that fragile thing, that soul trying to rise on the broken wings of hope, but only out of the corner of my eye. I am afraid of it. And if I am afraid to see, how can I not be afraid to say, forgive me? Is there a place where we can meet, you and me, the place in the middle, the no man's land where we straddle the lines, where you are right and I am right too? Can we meet there? And both of us are wrong and wronged, and look for the place where the path begins, the path that ends when we forgive.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And that story, that poem came out of a book I read on the power of forgiveness. And it was all about their ability to forgive and what happens when we don't forgive, and how the hurt when we don't forgive, the hurt that was done to us, even if it's just now living as emotional pain, when we're not willing to go in and do the emotional healing work, which is forgiveness, then we're actually taking that pain and we're continuing this cycle of pain, of hurt, we're continuing the cycle of this negative energy. We don't think of it that way because we say, well, I'm not doing what they did to me. That's true. That's true. You're not doing what they did to you. But if you're not healing the hurt, then somehow that unhealed place, gets passed on. And I wanted to mention about the passing on of hurt because of how in families, hurt gets passed on, and sometimes the hurt and the tendencies are passed on in our DNA. And I often talk about our spiritual DNA. And what happens is in the family, the behaviors that are done by our parents or our grandparents, get passed down to the next generation if they're not healed. And so to all the parents that I've worked with over the years, I often say your kids are going to benefit from the work that you're doing even more than you, because your kids are going to start where you are. And, I think of the work my mom had done, my dad had done, and, they had their foibles and their issues, like all of our parents, I'm sure, like even I do as a mom for my son. But they tried and they were seeking to be better people. And, I know my mom did not grow up with the kind of dedication to daily spiritual work that she gave me. And my son is now growing up with that as a part of life, So my goal has always been to heal my family lineage. And I've done that, through my own therapeutic work. And then occasionally I'll get a vision or I'll have a dream that comes to me that helps me know that the healing work I'm doing is working and is making an impact. There was a vision I had, it's in the book, and I don't think I've ever read this before exactly. And Sean, will it make sense for you to read it? Did you take a look at that on page 91?
Yes. Yeah. You want me to read that whole section there, or
yeah,
just
sure,
that
that's
section
fine.
there at the bottom? Okay. I was in a circle and surrounded by my happy, healthy ancestors. They were too many to count, but the feeling was one of safety and support. There seemed to be about 100 of them in a large circle around me. I was seated in a chair, and my father came forward. There was light all around me, going outward toward the ancestors, and they were singing. I was looking around, taking this in, and suddenly I was being lifted up. Then my father put a large quilt around my body that enfolded me. The quilt was the fabric of my life experience, and I could see all the things that I had been through. I looked at the patches and then at my father for an answer as to what it meant. And he said, the most freeing thing to me. Don't mind about the patches. They will heal in time. Wow.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's forgiveness.
Oof.
Yeah. That's forgiveness. That is the gift. That's why I say the gift of forgiveness, or rather, forgiveness is a gift to the soul, And we've all had things happen, all of us. We've all had people do us wrong. It's part of being human. But if you hold on to those wrongs, you become that same energy. And that's the piece we don't see. So for me, forgiveness is about releasing that to become new people. The Bible says we become new in Christ. And that's what the gift of forgiveness does. And it also gives you a deep perspective about how all of us as humans are doing the best we can. Some try harder than others. Some are hurting purposefully. Most are not. Most are hurting us out of their own delusions, out of their own pains and their wounds. And so, when we can, when we can just be willing to forgive, it helps move us out of this painful reality and out of the bonds of that pain and into more spiritual freedom. And that, truly, truly, that is the goal. And so in your work, and this is in the book as well, because of course, after that, receiving that vision in the dream, I was really, I guess, in a meditative state. But as I kind of came, to back into reality, it was like, all is well. I'm connected, and God loves me, and I will heal. You will heal. And so when we can accept this gift that we are loved at this level, that, no matter what we've done, God has healed us. No matter what we've done, we are forgiven already. Then it gives me the courage and the ability to forgive others, and especially myself, for ways maybe I got in situations I shouldn't have been in, or maybe I didn't see things I shouldn't have seen. And I want to move into forgiveness so that I can live a life of freedom, of joy, of peace, and just knowing that I am loved. So as we end today, there's another forgiveness prayer. It's on page 101. It's at the very end of this chapter. And actually, Sean, do you want to read that one as well, just as
Sure.
we end today? It's simply called the Forgiveness Prayer, and I tried to look for the author, and it's just it's by the famous Anonymous. So there was no
unknown.
The unknown. Yes.
Forgiveness prayer. If I have harmed anyone in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through my own confusions, I ask forgiveness. If anyone has harmed me in any way, either knowingly or unknowingly, through their own confusions, I forgive them.
Yes, that is the key, my dear friends. So please, friends, take this with you. Do the work of your soul. Be courageous in being willing to heal. Want to heal more than you want to be victimized or right. Rise up and out. You can do it by practicing this powerful, powerful work of forgiveness. Blessings on the journey, my dear friends, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2024 Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Sean Kilgore. A production of the Soulworks Group, Incorporated. Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience, with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.